Hello, MUS 1002 students. This is just a really brief video to show you how to loop audio clips in Ableton Live. So anything in Live can be looped, potentially. We could do audio clips from the sounds category or the clips category, or we could even create a MIDI instrument, program some stuff in, and then loop that. It's very, very easy. I'm going to hit Tab to go into the arrangement view so that you can see the timeline. Then I'm going to find a sound that I like from the samples selection. Let's just use the search feature and find a piano. Let's try that under clips instead. Okay, I like that. So I'm going to grab that and drag it to an audio track, and you can see this is actually MIDI data because it doesn't have a waveform. It's just notes, and it even comes up with an instrument here. So I can loop that. By default, it should be loopable just by grabbing the cropping tool, which is on the upper right-hand side, and dragging it out just like that, and it will loop forever. I can do the same thing with audio clips if I find a sample I like. Okay, we'll take that. And I can grab it and drag it out. Now, if you are grabbing it and you're dragging it and you notice that it's not looping, then you need to take a look at the properties. To do that, select the clip that you want to loop, and then if you come down here into the very bottom, there is the clip view selector, or you can hold down the Shift key and hit Tab. Either one will bring up the clip view down here. And the thing we want to look for is loop, and that loop is turned on. So if it's not, it's going to be grayed out, and then if I try and grab the edge and crop it out, nothing happens. Or at best, it would just be a bunch of blank space. If I turn loop on, however, I can pull it out. Now, the other thing I can do here is I can change the length of the loop by adjusting the loop end. That is the colored bar here, and that's going to be whatever color the clip is. So I can grab that and we can make it shorter. It's currently 8 bars. Let's take it down to, how about 2 bars? Oh, just a little bit more. There we go. So now, here is my loop. So you can see it just loops every 2 bars. I could reduce that to every 1 bar if I wanted. And it's just going to go through this area in the loop start to loop end bar. And it's just going to play that over and over. That is so cool. But what if I want to create my own loops? It's really, really easy to do, and I'll show you how to do that. I'm going to do MIDI first, so I'm going to grab this open MIDI track at the top, and I'm just going to grab an instrument. We're just going to do analog, and I'm just going to grab the defaults and drag it onto there. And I've got computer MIDI keyboard selected, so if I turn off solo, you can hear the sound of that device. So I'm just going to record really quickly. It's going to be junk, don't worry about it. It just has to have some sound. Okay, if I tried to loop that, nothing. I have just empty space here. So again, I'm going to select the clip, and then I'm going to open the clip view, and I can do that by coming down to the lower right-hand corner and clicking on Click View, or I can hold down Shift and hit Tab. So here's the problem. There is no loop turned on. So I'm going to turn it on, and then I have to set the loop start and end point. So I'm going to grab that color bar up top. I'm going to drag it out so that it is fully 2 measures long. And then I'm going to grab that extra note and delete it. So at this point, I can now loop the clip. And it's 2 bars, and it repeats every 2 bars. Just excuse my terrible rhythm. I forgot to turn the metronome on. But you can tell that it's looping if I zoom in, because you can see this slight depression here. And that is showing that it has been looped. There's just that little teeniest bit of black up there. You can see the same thing on number 4. There's just these little black notches where the loop starts and where it goes the next time. So very easy to loop. Again, if you aren't looping by default, you need to come down to the clip view selector, select your clip, and make sure that loop is turned on. Then set your start point and your end point for the loop. One thing to keep in mind is that the loop does not have to be a full bar. So here's what happens if I reset it so that the loop is only 1 full measure and then 3 quarter notes. So now it's effectively 7 quarter notes long. Which means that it's going to sync up in very interesting ways with this loop. So they don't come into synchronization, and they're not going to until I get to bar 8, and then you see I've got that little black divot at the top on both of the tracks. That's when, after 7 full bars, they're going to come back into sync. So it's almost like when you're stuck at a red light and the turn signal for your car and the turn signal for the car ahead of you are going at slightly different versions. It's kind of cool. It's out of sync, then it goes into sync, then it goes out of sync, and yeah, it's fun. But that is the basic process for creating a loop in Ableton Live, or making sure that an audio clip will loop. And we can do this with MIDI, or we could even do this with audio. Let me create just a quick audio example. Let's do an audio track. Test, test, test. And we're going to solo it. Looping my voice. Okay. So if I select the clip and make sure I'm in clip selection, then I can take a look and I see that loop is turned off. So I'll turn it on. And I'm going to adjust the endpoint. And then I'm just going to adjust the volume for good measure. And now I can loop it. Looping my voice. Looping my voice. Not going to win any awards, but very easy to do. So that is looping in Ableton Live. Definitely something to play around with. Definitely something that you're going to love.